The assignment sheet said, "Lower gallery, sealed treaty wing," and nothing else. I asked my supervisor. She was folding linens and didn't look up. "It's on the list. Take the mop," which is how I ended up in front of blast-rated double doors at the far end of a corridor that smelled of old stone and engine coolant, holding a bucket, with nobody around to tell me what was on the other side. My name is Ren Ossel. I had been working the embassy's lower floors for 11 years. I cleaned the floor no one sees, the utility corridors, the service bays, the old treaty rooms that the Veth Station diplomatic quarter used for storage, now that the war accords were 40 years past, and nobody needed grand halls for anything except turning the heating vents off and saving on the bill. I was not important. I mopped. I knew which floors needed 2 passes, and which needed 3. Which fixtures dripped on a cold morning, and which storeroom door would swing back and catch your elbow if you didn't prop it. That was my expertise. I opened the blast doors. The smell hit first, blood iron, and something older, like scorched rock, like the back of a forge that hadn't been lit in years. The gallery ran 60 feet, marble columns down both sides, and at the far end, in the space between the last 2 columns, something was lying on the floor. It was enormous, even curled the way it was, head down, one dark wing half opened and then abandoned, like it had started to fold and forgotten. It filled the end of the room. Iron dark scales, the color of ore fresh pulled from a mountain and left in rain. A ridge of old scarring crossed the left shoulder, the skin there puckered and silver pale where it had healed wrong over something that had never been set properly. It was breathing. I could see that from the door. Long, slow, deliberate breaths, each one a little rougher than the last. I stood there for 10 seconds. Then I went back to the door, propped it with my bucket, and started on the near end of the floor. I am not a brave woman. I want to be clear about that. I did not make a decision to stay out of courage or compassion, or any quality that gets named at an award ceremony. I stayed because the floor needed mopping, and I was the one sent to mop it. And walking away with the job undone felt wrong in the particular way that walking away from anything unfinished felt wrong to me. A low-grade unease, like a loose thread you can feel all day. So I mopped. The creature, the elder, though I didn't know that word for him yet, didn't move. He watched me. I could feel it without looking. That quality of attention that has weight to it, that lands on the back of your neck and stays. I talked to the room the way I always talked when I worked alone. Not to anyone in particular, just the small commentary of a person doing a job. This grout line needs attention. This column base is wicking something up from the floor. The ventilation in here is not right and someone should be told about it. I wasn't speaking to him. I was just speaking, the way I always did. He didn't make a sound. I left at the end of my shift. I came back the next morning. It took 3 weeks before he stopped growling when I opened the door. By 6 weeks he had shifted position, still at the far end, still floor down, but angled differently so his good shoulder faced out and the ruined one was toward the wall. I noticed it the way you notice a chair moved 2 inches, a small thing, but deliberate. I didn't say anything about it. I mopped the near end first the same way I always did, worked toward him in sections, and when I got close enough that my mop was moving through the space near his forelegs, I just moved carefully, and he just watched carefully, and we had established, between us, something that didn't have a name. I brought him water in the 4th month, not because I had a plan. I was refilling my bucket at the corridor tap, and I thought, he's been in there a long time, and there's no water dish, and that seems like something that should be corrected. So I brought a second pail, clean, and set it near him, on my way to the far end. He didn't touch it while I was there. When I came back the next morning it was empty. I kept bringing it, that was all I did. I did not know his name. I did not know his bloodline, or his rank, or the name of the war he had fought in, or why the diplomatic quarter had sealed a dying creature into the old treaty wing, and left him there like something in storage. I knew his shoulder bothered him on cold mornings. I could tell from the way he held the wing close on those days. a careful stillness that I recognized as the particular tension of managing pain quietly. I knew he disliked the ventilation, which I still thought should be reported. I knew that if I came in talking, he settled faster than if I came in silent. Those were the things I knew. In the 7th month, I had a bad week. My sister called with news that wasn't good, and I came to the lower gallery on Thursday moving slowly, not talking, just doing the job by the numbers. He watched me the whole time with that weighted attention. When I was working near his end of the floor, he made a sound. Low, chest deep, the kind of sound that is less a vocalization and more a change in the air pressure of the room. I looked up. He was looking at me with eyes the color of tarnished copper, and his head was lowered about 6 inches from where he usually held it. I said, "I'm all right, thank you." He looked at me for another 3 seconds, then looked away. I finished the floor. I brought his water. I went home. The conclave arrived on a Tuesday in the 9th month. I heard them first. Heavy movement in the upper gallery, the kind of weight that makes old stone feel its own age. I was in the lower gallery already, mop in hand, when the blast doors opened behind me, and I turned, and there were 12 of them filling the corridor. Iron gray and gold-ridged and deep copper, war archons of the Korath-Varath conclave, which I knew as a name, the same way I knew the name of the Eastern Nebula, something real, but very far from me. The one at the front was carrying an access log, the lower gallery's access log. He looked at me. He looked at the log. He looked at me again. "You are the one who comes every day," he said. I said I was the housekeeper assigned to the lower gallery. He said, "You have come every day for 9 months." I said I had, and that the ventilation still needed attention if anyone was taking notes. Behind him, the 12 were looking past me. I turned. The elder, the war patriarch, the last surviving battle father of the Korath-Varath line, which I learned later, these were things I did not know yet, had raised his head fully for the first time since I had started coming. Both wings were folded properly against his back. His good shoulder was square. His eyes were not the eyes of something curled on a floor giving up by degrees. They were watching the conclave with something that was not quite recognition, and not quite reproof, but lived somewhere between them. Then he looked at me. It is difficult to describe what happened in that room without sounding like I'm making it larger than it was. I don't think it was large. I think it was very simple. He looked at me the way you look at someone when you have decided they are a known quantity, a settled thing, a fact in the room, not a variable anymore. Then he looked away. The war archon in front of me said something in Korath-Varath that I didn't have the language for. Behind him, 11 others lowered their heads. Not to him, to me. I stood there with my mop and my bucket and my work clothes, and I think my face did something fairly foolish. The archon said, "In the old tongue, there is a name for the one who keeps company with the fire while it is going out, and does not ask the fire to explain itself, and does not leave." He told me what it was. It was long, and I couldn't pronounce it properly, and he said that was all right, that very few could. I thanked him. I looked at the log in his hands and said, "If you're updating the access records, the ventilation request should be in there too. Someone really ought to look at it." He looked at me for a moment. Then he wrote something in the margin of the log. I went back to the near end of the floor and finished what I'd started. The ventilation got fixed the following week. I noticed it on Thursday morning, when I came in, and the air was moving right for the first time in 9 months. The elder noticed it too. I could tell from the way he held his good shoulder, easier than usual, the careful stillness of managed pain, loosened by 1 degree. I said, "There." Someone listened. He made that low, pressure shift sound again. I took it for agreement and kept mopping.